Dades River Gorges. The winter torrents dug the menacing ravine that cleaves the High Atlas in Morocco. Axilo, where the river Dades cuts its way through the menacing peaks of the mountains. High Atlas, a narrow gorge winds in tight curves between the 500-meter-high rock walls. As the sun climbs the dome and its rays penetrate the quays, the rock changes its color from black to green, to red and then to bright yellow, depending on the season and the time of day. About 200 million years ago, these rocks were actually a coral reef on the seafloor, but in the last few million years, the movements of the Earth's crust gradually raised it and wrinkled it, thus forming the High Atlas Mountains, whose geological history can be deciphered from the multicolored layers of sandstone, limestone and clay, visible in the walls of the gorge. Over thousands of years, winter storms have eroded the river's course. From November to January or even March, torrential showers flood the High Atlas, transforming Dades from one stream or a bed in a foaming torrent, which after only a few hours reduces its volume again. In Arabic, these dry rivers are called wadis or wadis. When the waters of the Dades River reach their maximum level, the transporting debris from the mountain erodes the soft rock of the bed and deepens it day by day. In an area of the valley, erosion. He sculpted the rock in flat, pyramidal or belted shapes, or in silhouettes reminiscent of human bodies, which is why the locals call them the hills of human bodies. From snow to sand. The High Atlas is actually a 740-kilometer-long segment of the Atlas mountain range that divides Morocco in two. The Dades gorges start in the mountains, where the highest peaks are covered by snow, and continues southwest for 350 kilometers to the Tadra River, at Ouarzazate, an oasis and former French fortress, in the northern extremity of the Sahara Desert. Swept by the winds. At its lowest level, the Dades River flows through clumps of palm, almond and rose bushes, cultivated to make rose water. Figs bear fruit here in summer and in autumn. Their fruits are left to dry on the flat roofs of the houses, to be then sold at the souk, market. The Dades Gorge is 24 kilometers downstream from the Boumalne market. Between the town and the quays, the riverbed is bordered by ancient Kasbahs, citadels, and Ksour, fortified villages, beyond which there are fields with red, fruitful soil, shaded by walnuts and almonds. The hills of Corpurilor Omenestei are approximately 15 kilometers from Boumalne. As the quays narrow, the road continues parallel to the water level, the steep rock walls shading it and protecting it from the hot rays of the sun. The road crosses a bridge in the village of Tadra, and beyond it lies the narrowest and most spectacular part of the quays. A gravel path goes up to the town of Ksour. Further on the road becomes everything more difficult, the rocky peaks of the Atlas Mountains seeming to collapse into the river's waters. Todra Gorges. To the northeast of the Dades Gorge is another spectacular gorge, Todra. From Tinerhir, the road goes up to them along the Todra river banks. Along the route, tall date palms cast beneficial shadows on vine, walnut, olive and pomegranate plantations. Where the valley narrows, in the gorges, the rocky walls rise up to meters, and its narrowest point, the gorge, barely reaches the width of meters. The noisy African mountain ospreys stir around the nests built in the rock, and majestic Bonelli's eagles hover above them. Near the quay flows a clear spring, revered by the Berbers of the area, who considered it miraculous. They believe that if a barren woman crosses saying the name of Allah, she will soon conceive. The road ends at Cheile Dades, although trucks and off-road vehicles can continue their advance in the heart of the Atlas. From the village of Tadra, north of the gorge, on a steep mountain road you can reach Ksour, above the Dades Gorge, and from there you can continue south, towards Boumalne, down the Dades Valley, thus completing a circuit through one of the most picturesque landscapes in northern Africa. The people of the mountain. The Berbers were a people of migratory shepherds who lived in this region long before the arrival of the Arabs. It is believed that they are the descendants of the invaders who came from the west of Asia and then spread to the north of Africa. They arrived in Morocco after the 10th century before Christ and converted to Islam in the first part of the 8th century after Christ. The Berbers retreated to the mountains, where they built fortresses and bastions, in which, no matter how hard the conditions were, they could live according to their own traditions, isolated from the temptations of the cities. Courage in battle constituted their greatest virtue. Men suspected of cowardice, they were forced to wear an animal skull on their head and were not allowed to eat until after the women had finished their meal. The laws of hospitality were sacred, and once two rams broke bread together, they would defend each other's lives to the death. In the 1920s, the British traveler Walter Harris described life in a Berber village as follows: a life of struggle and darkness. Each family paid his tribute in blood. However, the Berbers also had moments of joy, with celebrations such as those of the harvest, with songs and stories told by troubadours. The wounds were treated in an unusual way. The edges of the wound were stuck together and a bright red ant was sitting on top of it. Once the ant clamped its jaws on the two pieces of skin, its head was cut off, the jaws remaining in place as a kind of staple that falls when the wound heals. Then, as it were, Berber women enjoyed more freedom than their Arab counterparts. They did not wear veils and could marry for love. And today, girls have the first say in marriage. Near the town of Imikil, north of Tinerhir, Museums, fairs are organized regularly. Girls of 14 or 15 years old, heavily made up and wearing heavy silver jewelry, approach their potential husbands and haggle fiercely for the money that will return to their family after the marriage. If an agreement is reached, the parents are preparing the wedding. Thank you for watching. See you next time.